I'm Alan Robarge, a relationship coach. Welcome to the New Love Addiction, where we are not talking about addiction. We're talking about attachment injuries and healing from attachment trauma. And when attachment trauma is present in one's life, emotional, developmental trauma around relationships and relating, it can impact and influence our sense of self, how we feel about ourselves, and we internalize some beliefs, core beliefs about who we are. And these oftentimes are not pretty. They are painful. They are harsh. And what this would mean, ideas such as I do not matter. I am not good enough. There is something fundamentally wrong with me. And the feeling states that this produces are ones of contempt and shame and disgust and feeling embarrassed about being a human being, feeling embarrassed about being yourself, feeling disgust around having your own needs and wants and desires, having shame, shaming yourself for feeling shame. It is self-generating. It is cyclical, that there is shame on top of shame. So in this moment, I want to acknowledge how incredibly painful these distorted core beliefs, this distorted thinking as far as how you feel about yourself. And you learned this through life experience. You learned this through family history. You learned this through neglect, abandonment, and abuse. You learned this from relationships where your value was devalued. And so therefore you internalize that and you believed it, and you continue to devalue yourself. You continue to have some feelings of disgust and contempt for yourself. Now, I'm aware, and perhaps you're aware too, that you don't feel like this all the time. I like to create this idea, like to say, well, this is your whole life, and this is who you are on the job, and this is who you are with friends, and this is when you're, doing XYZ, this is this aspect of yourself. We're not saying that all of you is worthy of contempt, shame, embarrassment, disgust, and that all of you is lacking worth, or that you do not matter, or that you're not good enough. But we're trying to hone in, if we're looking at the continuum of your life and how you're showing up in multiple contexts, there's this one part of you, this one place. And oftentimes it gets triggered when intimacy, emotional connection, relationship with a partner, when the trigger itself is linked to the depth of loving and the depth of vulnerability that comes with intimacy. And it's in those places when we forget our own needs, when we get confused about our needs and wants, and that we have a history of not being able to have our needs, our emotional, relational needs met in that place. And so then that's where we have been met with messaging, either from other people or core messaging that we've internalized, we've created for ourselves, that just says, well, it's not going very well. We're not getting the love that we want. We're not feeling connected and loved in our family or in this most important relationship, because there must be something wrong with me. There must be something that I'm lacking. I know it's because I'm not good enough. I am lacking. I'm worthless. So this deep shame, this toxic shame, these feelings of not really being an okay person in your skin, being okay with yourself, this is the result. This is the byproduct of attachment trauma. And it impacts how we feel about who we are in this world. So in this moment, let's just take a breath. Let's acknowledge how incredibly painful that this is. And I am sorry that you endure this. I'm sorry that you have experienced this. I am sorry that you implode into the lack of self-worth, the lack of self-kindness, the lack of self-compassion in those moments. And that's painful stuff. That is so painful. And I'm here today, in this moment, on this message, here on this video to say it's not true. These are beliefs that are coded into our mind that now I know you can challenge me in this moment, that if I say it's not true, you could say, well, I have evidence of how, you have evidence of how you've been treated. And perhaps you could also say, well, it feels true. And I am not challenging that. I say, yes, of course, I get it. I know it feels like that. And nonetheless, even though it feels like that, doesn't mean that it's true. And that this core belief, as far as you do not matter, you're not good enough, you are worthy of shame, that you need to feel a sense of disgust about yourself, all of those beliefs are not true, even though it activates a feeling state that it feels painful, it feels prickly, it feels hot, it feels torturous, it feels like a tug. For many people, it's a kind of nauseous feeling. For some people, it's a dissociated feeling that you sort of shut down and pull out of your body. But what I want to begin to do is to challenge the feeling and say, just because you feel it does not mean that it is true, linked to the belief. That the feeling does not need to keep reinforcing. Just because you feel it does not make it any more true. This is how we get stuck looping in habituated mind, in habitual patterns, it's a kind of self-fulfilling prophecy that because I fear it and then it comes in, the feeling state comes in and it's reinforcing the very thing that I fear and that I don't want to feel. And then my mind just starts looping and wearing a groove into, how my brain is firing and the neural mapping of my brain. And then I get stuck feeling over-identified. Not only is it not a feeling of shame, but now I am the shame. It's not only a feeling of disgust, I am the disgust. It's not only a feeling of being embarrassed about my wants and needs and who I am as a person. I am the embarrassment in this moment. So there's this integration. We have a kind of unhealthy integration where we have, a better word is internalized, an unhealthy internalization of I am the shame. And so what we're trying to do here is just by even confronting the thought and saying, well, these are just thoughts. And I'm challenging this thought. I'm really challenging it. You are not the shame. You are not the worthlessness. You are not the embarrassment. You are not the disgust. You are not the feeling I am not good enough or the belief I am not good enough. You are not the belief there is something wrong with me. And I get that you believe it. And what I like to do, and I do something really silly and extreme, and the clients that I work with know that I do this frequently, is I go, hi, shame. Hi, there you are. I know you're there, silly shame. I use this ridiculous voice and I create this gesture and I wave it, hi, not good enough. Hi. Oh, you're so not good. And I hear you. I hear you. I hear your voice. I know that you keep telling me that I'm a piece of shit. Thank you. Thank you for telling me. You're doing your job. Your job is to just repeat beliefs and repeat feelings. And you're just letting me know there's something wrong with me. I'm not good enough. I don't matter. And I hear you. Thank you, voice. Thanks for letting me know. The reason why I do this ridiculous thing where I'm calling it out is I'm trying to make it into other, to depersonalize it, and to pull the internalization out by externalizing it. And we can just call it the shame and say, hi, shame, there you are, my good friend. And then I even call it a friend. It's certainly not a friend that I enjoy. It's a friend that I have a bit of a bumpy relationship with. It's that kind of friend that you really don't want to spend time with, but for whatever reason, you're friends and you sort of hang out and I don't know if I really want to hang out with this friend. So the idea is that this shame has been with you for a long time. These core beliefs about your worth have been with you a long time. And for many people who are unable to confront really looking at these as core beliefs, it just gets reaffirmed and reactivated as if it's real. And the whole point of this video is to say, well, this is not real. This is not the only reality. This is not the truth of who you are. This is not who you're going to be for the rest of your life. And that you can begin to find some spaciousness, some openness. When we look at it, externalize it, and wave at it and say, hey, shame, hey, embarrassment, hey, disgust, hey, horrible feelings, how you doing today? I hear that you're telling me that I'm a piece of shit. Well, thank you for that information. I really don't think that that's true anymore. It still feels like it sometimes, but it's not necessarily true. So when we do this, we're beginning to confront the habitual mind, the habitual thinking, to kind of put a cog in the wheel, to interrupt it and say, well, why do I have to keep believing this? I know I feel it. I know it's powerful. I know I have evidence that says, that I should believe it. But nonetheless, I'm choosing my intelligent, rational mind to interrupt the process, to begin to interject an alternative. Maybe I don't have to feel shame about myself today. Maybe I don't have to feel embarrassed about my choices and who I am as a human being today. Maybe I can take a break. And tomorrow, go have at it. Tomorrow, hate yourself good. Tomorrow, give yourself a hard time and really, run yourself through the ringer with how worthless you are and how you don't matter. That's great. Good for you. You want to do it tomorrow? Do it tomorrow. But at least today, we're going to say, I'm going to create a break. I'm practicing. I don't really have to believe this anymore. And even though I don't believe it, or I'm practicing not believing it, it still feels that way. I still feel prickly. I still feel embarrassed about where I'm at in life and who I am. And then we come right back, we meet it and go, hi, embarrassment, you're still there. And the other thing that you can do in this is make it very body-based and come back to your body and breathe and say, well, what does that feel like? What does this shame feel like? Well, it feels nauseous. It feels hot. It makes me want to dissociate, like kind of run away, like, oh, I don't want to talk about that, or I don't want to deal with that right now. For some people, it makes them want to eat. Some people, pick up any type of addiction, thinking like, I think I need a cigarette right now. So whatever is going on in your body, you try to come back to saying, now, isn't that interesting? We use the phrase curiosity. We want to bring some curiosity and to meet it head on and say, shame, give me your best. I'm ready. Show me what you are. Let's feel shame. Let's feel it. I'm ready. And you sort of hang out there. You have a pen and paper, write some words down, whatever you notice, where your thoughts it takes you. And each time you keep coming back to your breath and you remind yourself of the intention of why you're doing what you're doing, which is saying we're confronting the habituated thoughts, we're confronting the core internalized beliefs, and we're trying to interrupt the feeling state that comes with these thoughts and the emotional feelings of shame and worthlessness and being embarrassed about oneself and just feeling disgusting and generally giving oneself a really hard time. Many people know the phrase, giving themselves a hard time. So we play with opposites and say, well, can you do the opposite? Can you be kind to yourself? Can you be compassionate? Can you be gentle? Can you give yourself a break here? And even literally, taking a break means slowing down. It also means literally having a breath. Exhale. The break is in the breath. And slow it down. Say, I don't need to hate myself 24/7. I don't need to feel this shame. And then lastly, full circle, I've already said it, what I'm sharing might be confusing because you have your whole life, and for the most part, this doesn't come, all the time. But we're trying to really single in on that core place, that deeper place that you've internalized these beliefs about yourself, that oftentimes when attachment trauma is present, this feeling, these core beliefs, this confusion around having a strong sense of self, having a celebrated self that is valued and nurtured and mirrored in the relationship, mirrored in the other person. We did not have family members. We did not have parents. We did not have adult romantic relationships with people who were really able to mirror back to us this beautiful, celebrated, more precious part of ourself. And so what we did is we internalized some belief that, well, then I guess that means there's something wrong with me. And what you and I are doing right now is we're confronting that and saying, nope, that's not true. It is not true that something's wrong with you. You do not have to believe that. And we keep doing everything I've said, this whole process, we just sort of keep it going and confronting and reviewing and reminding and feeling and going, hi, shame, there you are telling me that there's something wrong with me again. And we try to turn it into a little bit of a joke, have a little levity here, and come back to the body, come back to the thinking mind, notice the habitual pattern, you come back into the feeling, come back to the breath, come back to the body, notice the habitual mind. And it just keeps, this is how it becomes a practice. This is a discipline. And so I hope that this was helpful. Experiment with it. See how it works. See if it works for you. And in the meantime, there's nothing wrong with you. You're a good person. You're lovely. Enjoy yourself more. Thanks for watching. If you want to learn more about me, please go to alanrobarge.com. And then also, if you like this video, want to see others just like it, please subscribe to this YouTube channel. Thank you for watching. Bye.